Good morning, everyone. Another beautiful day to talk about God. Look at that reflection in the water. It's almost hard to tell where the water starts and ends. That's the way we should be with God. Where does God start? Where do we end? Because we are to be a reflection of Him. We're not Him. And I use Him because there's no appropriate English word, proper word for God, other than calling Him God, but we can't use a pronoun because there isn't. We can't say it. It's not appropriate. Other languages have words for it. The Hebrew Bible actually has a word for God that they're not even allowed to speak. Now that's their tradition. They can follow it. We call Him Jehovah or Yahweh, depending on what vowels you put in. If you ever wondered why they do that way, it's because the original Bibles didn't have vowels. Reading and writing was not thought of by the average person. Only the well-to-do, the well-off, the wealthy, the good families had enough money to teach somebody to read and write. And there weren't that many copies of the Bible because paper was impossible. They didn't have any. They had papyrus, they had parchment, leather skins, stone chisels. Very expensive, so words were a high commodity. If you could put it on one page instead of 10, then you take the vowels out. Now later on, they came up with a form of help. They put the vowels above the Bible words. Little dots and dashes that you see in the Hebrew Bible, those are the vowels. And you can learn to pronounce those and what they are, and just like you can the consonants. But that's the reason for it. All right. The message for today is, you never have to wait for God. We're sitting around going, what's next? When things going to happen? They're going to happen when they're going to happen. And not a moment too soon. But you don't have to wait for God because He's already there. In fact, He's been there. Since He created this timeline, He knows the moment things are going to happen. We don't. We don't know when Jesus is coming back for His second coming, or for the Jews, His first coming, because they don't believe He came here once. They're taught that He hasn't ever been here before. They're taught by the people who killed Him, who wrote the oral traditions down. They were the same people, some of the same people that helped crucify Him. They had a hatred for Him. That hatred comes from the devil, and they helped write the rules that they've been following ever since the temple was destroyed. People are driving in and around, how He's escorting somebody. What have they got? They've got a backhoe. Oh, it may get noisy today. It's still before 8 o'clock. They shouldn't be doing any work, but it looks like He's escorting in a truck full of equipment. A second truck. All right. So the campsite's pretty much empty except for those of us that stay here on a long-term basis. And for the most part, the only people that I have problems with, and they're nice people, it's just that they've got 3 dogs. And anybody who's got dogs and kids, you learn to turn off the sound because you hear it all the time and it would drive you crazy. So you turn it off, you ignore it. So your dog, you're sitting there right next to your dog, and your dog's just barking up a storm, and they don't say a word. They carry on their conversation. They do whatever they're doing because they're used to it. It's just, it's Groundhog Day. Over and over again. Don't we all wish we could have a Groundhog Day? You keep making mistakes until you finally figure it out. Well, essentially we do. We're told to try, and we're forgiven when we sin during that time. God has a path down for us. We're supposed to do something. But unfortunately, many things that we learn are done through repetition. You think that gymnast can walk on that beam, that little piece of wood like that, do cartwheels on it and do all this other stuff? No. You know how they start learning? They put that beam, well, it may not even be there, but they eventually will put the beam on the ground. So when you fall, you're only falling down on mats. There's still mats when it's up high on the ground, off the ground, but you learn, and they might even just have a white stripe. You start off gradually and you learn through repetition. Now you know I'm going to bring in some movies because I love movies. I brought in Groundhog Day. Do you know there have been estimates that could have been anywhere from 5 to 25 years? He had to learn to play the piano proficiently, having never played before. Yeah, maybe a little bit, but not enough to. There was so much that you wanted to do this. You'd watch the teacher just cringe every time he'd try to play something. He had to learn to convince somebody to love him in one day. Not easy to do. It shouldn't be. It needs to take time. He was a royal jerk in the beginning. Self-centered jerk in the beginning. And he became a very caring, loving person. And the timing of God, in the movie. The ladies have a flat tire. He's right there with the jack. That's God. You could do anything. What would you do if you could do anything? Would you try it, knowing that if you fail, it's no big deal, you try again tomorrow? Because you remember, that's the key. If you did this and didn't remember, then you'd never learn. The last days of my mother, well, the last couple of years of my mother, because she had dementia, she had no short-term memory. She remembered me because I'm in long-term memory. She had plenty of money to live in an assisted living place for the rest of her life, and she did. But eventually she got to where she couldn't walk, and she didn't know she couldn't walk, because in her memory she walked all the time. She'd get up and try to walk and fall. It's like, okay, what'd she hurt today? But I go spend time with her. I tried to keep her within, 5-10 miles of where I live so I could go visit every day. But it didn't matter whether I visit her once a day, twice a day, once a month, once every 5 years. It didn't matter. She wouldn't remember. I had to take her phone away because she would call me at home saying, "Why don't you ever come and visit me?" "Mom, I was just there. I just walked in the door. How many times have you been calling?" "I don't know." She took her phone away. She was making long distance. We ended up with a $500 or $800 bill one time. She was calling anybody and everybody, trying to find us. Well, by that time, my sister was gone. She had passed away from leukemia And I did not mention that to my mother because it would not help things. We deal with things in life. God helps us, don't worry. So we have Groundhog Day with Bill Murray and what's her name? McDonald. Harold Ramis, his partner in Ghostbusters. We make fun of the devil and the occult a lot. But another movie I liked, and Tom Cruise, although I don't agree totally with what he's doing and how he's doing it, he's into Scientology. Now, it's too bad we can't get the information out of Scientology out of the Bible. It's there. But, teaching you to have the confidence to do anything you want to do. Now, they take a lot of money in from people. They milk them of money. And to have someone like Tom Cruise or the other actor, terrible with names, I can see him. I was almost his photo double for a little while. But in any case, they're not Robert Downey. I don't know, I'll think of it. It'll come to my mind. But Tom Cruise was in a movie called Edge of Tomorrow. There's aliens, we're being invaded. So they're putting aliens into movies, modern movies now, whereas they were not there for a long time. They were there in the 50s, 60s, and then they went away. They're back. Aliens are popular now. We've had the Alien movie. It's Sigourney Weaver. Ugly thing. Gets inside and takes over inside of our body. There's a nice parallel there to the devil. But Edge of Tomorrow, they're fighting these creatures, bug-like creatures, and they're winning. The reason they're winning is they can reset time. Sort of like Groundhog Day, Sonny and Cher. But he's in the movie with Emily Blunt. They make a good team. She's married to a director-producer type. But he's there to do publicity for the war. He's not trained to fight, and he said so to the general who was trying to assign him. So he's put in the middle of this, and he gets lucky. There's no such thing as luck in God's world, but this is a fictional movie. They're running the equipment. It's going to get noisy here. We have no control of life sometimes. Just go with the flow. So if it gets noisy in the background, they're, 200 yards away. That's a chainsaw. What are they cutting down? That makes more noise than the tractor. All right, enough rabbit holes. But anyhow, he shoots one of these special aliens, and he takes over time for him. He lives the same day over and over as long as he's killed. He comes back and lives the same day over, and he remembers. So like Bill Murray. These are things that we would love to be able to do, but we don't. We have to live it out in our lifetime. But we live the same day. We get up every day, and it may not be the exact same day as yesterday, but it's close. And we get to try again, and we get to fail again. I mean, that's the way life is. Look how we start. We start as babies. We don't know how to go to the bathroom. We don't know how to talk. We don't know how to walk. I jokingly tell people about children. I've had mine, so I know. You start off teaching them to walk and talk. Pretty soon you're telling them to shut up and sit down. There's the irony. And God's like that with us. We're children to Him. He tells us how to treat children. He said, if you don't treat children right, you're better off to have a millstone tied around your neck and thrown into the river or the lake. Take care of children properly. God takes care of us the same way. So we get a chance to try the same day over and over again until we learn how to do it. And Edge of Tomorrow, we don't know how long this lasted. He had to learn how to be a soldier in combat. And if he died, no big deal. He'd come back the next day and try it again. The elaborate ruse he had to do to get away from the people. Where he had to roll underneath the truck. I don't know if you've seen the movie. The first time he didn't make it. And Paxton was in that, the actor who was also in Apollo 13. A good actor. He's passed away not too long ago, about a few years ago. We see these people all the time. They become like family when we're watching movies. When you see them in person, it's like you've seen a family member. They don't know you from Adam. But they've learned that they've got to be polite. Clint Eastwood, someone tells a story about him going full Dirty Harry when he was out in a restaurant. Go ahead, make my day. He was in a restaurant, he was eating, he was having a beer. Some lady came in and demanded his autograph. Well, wait a second, I'll be done in a second with my beer. And she started grabbing beers and pouring them over his head. He immediately grabbed her, took her outside, threw her in a cab, gave the cab driver $100, take her till this runs out. Comes back in and talks to his friend, says, that was a little overboard, wasn't it? Yeah. He's normally a very nice man. I've worked with him a number of times. He's one of my favorite directors. Because he doesn't yell. I told the story before, but he's worth talking about. And he's in his 90s and he's still directing. He started off acting. The best directors are ex-actors. Because they know what the actor needs. You give them somebody a piece of paper and say, here, these are your lines. Well, how are you today? I am fine. You can't read the lines. You have to act the lines. How are you today? Did you have a good day? You've got to act it. You've got to, well, whatever the character is. Some characters are dull. The movie Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. What's his name? It's Professor Snape. Does the voice of the robot. How are you? Are you having a good day? No, I'm just having a miserable day today. I can't do his voice, but it was funny to see a depressed robot. We're having AI happen now. What's going to happen if we have a robot who can get depressed? If you watch Star Trek Next Generation, Brent Spiner played Data. Very non-human-like in the beginning, but he wanted to be human-like. So they gave him a human chip, and he had a few days to learn how to have emotion. He didn't like it, and I think he took the chip out. It's been so long ago I don't remember now, but I think he took the chip out. I mean, it's easy to deal with things without emotion. But the world can be very stirring, very compelling. We want to be right in everything we do, and we're not. It can be depressing. You can have something wrong that you can't fix. That can become depressing. My son is raising money for his fiance in Peru, who was in a motorcycle accident a while back and has had something else come up recently that I think it's her gallbladder. They've got to take it out. I've had that happen, so I understand both. I've still got ailments from my car collision where somebody ran into me, a drunk pulling out of a bar. So he's dealing with it with his fiance. I understand it. Trying to raise money. I'll throw the fundraiser up for her. If you can help. She doesn't need a whole lot. Fortunately, they don't. It's 3-to-1 money exchange over there. I don't know who's going to see it. Those of you that are going to watch this video, I can count on my hands now, it seems like. I know I get 100 or so people watch. That was a tree falling down. There was a dead tree over there that I've walked by a number of times, and they decided to finally cut it down. I'm going to go check it out here in a bit. I've shown you dead trees before. If the bark's coming off and you see the bare tree underneath, it's dead inside. We can't live without skin. Trees don't live without skin either. It's usually a beetle. If it's a pine tree, it's a pine beetle gets in there and starts in the root. They love the root and they eat the root out of it and it kills it. It's like if we had a parasite that ate our spine, leave the bones but eat the nerve endings inside, we'd be jelly. Okay. I've got a couple of verses I want to read just to kind of throw this into perspective. Just know we're never waiting on God. He's always waiting on us. Let's turn to James 5:11. Well, I'm going to go back to 9, keeping things in context. Do not grumble against one another, brethren, lest you be condemned. Do not judge. Behold, the judge is standing at the door. Jesus. My brethren, take the prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord as an example of suffering and patience. Indeed, we count them blessed who endure. We have heard the perseverance of Job and seen the end intended by the Lord. Flies, a lot of flies today. I don't know why the flies are out. When there's none, and then all of a sudden there's a bunch of them. They don't have a long life, so they'll be gone soon. The Lord is very compassionate and merciful. So have patience in the Lord, and you'll be rewarded. Now, we don't know how long Job suffered. He had to lose a couple of families. It's a lot of stuff. So let's turn to Job 2. I'm going to start off where do I want to start? Let's start in Job 2:11. Now when Job's 3 friends heard of all this adversity that had come upon him, each one came from his own place. Eliphaz, Temanite, and Bildad. These are Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamite. I wonder what they might be. For they had made an appointment together to come and mourn with him and comfort him. These are 3 friends. Frankly, if I got friends like that, I don't want them. All they'd have and said, well, this must be all your fault. God's punishing you. No. It could be, but God doesn't punish. But the things happening could be because you made them happen. God will save you from them, but that isn't always the case. And when they raised their eyes from afar and did not recognize him, they lifted their voices and wept. And each one tore his robe and sprinkled dust on his head towards heaven. So they sat down with him on the ground 7 days and 7 nights. They sat with him to mourn. And no one spoke a word to him, for they saw that his grief was very great. God will never push us the way he did Job. He said so. We do have a limit to what we can take. We are not infallible. We are not perfect, enduring, or whatever. We don't have that trait. It's part of our sin nature, I guess. God seems to have infinite patience. At least he does with me. And we continue to work together. That sun is getting bright. I'm just about 5 minutes too late getting started this morning. All right. Pray for me in this ministry. I'm still struggling with YouTube. I'm having my doubts about continuing with YouTube. All my numbers are going down. I've had trends like this before, but I've never been this low since when I started this. When I started, we didn't have good numbers. Actually, we were growing really fast in the beginning, and then I hit the age of the filter. Now, I got to find out, and maybe you can answer in the comments below, how do you see my videos? For those of you who do see them and watch them, when I get 100 to 200 a day now, I was getting 500 to 1,000, 2,000 or 3,000 on occasion. But now I'm less than 200. All my stats are down. I think I have 7 subscribers in the last month. And the way things are going, I'm not getting any. I lose 4 and gain 1. That's not going to last a long time. But if I've only got a short while to do this, I can do it. But it's discouraging. I hope I'm presenting good messages, and those of you that do comment tell me that I do. But I don't know. They're not good enough, or they're so good that they're being filtered. I have to look at it from that point of view. I'm trying to let God speak. Come on, flies, go away. I've even got 2 flies in my tent, and my ant spray doesn't kill them. They move too fast. I don't know. Got to get a fly swatter in there. Anyhow, pray for me, this ministry. Pray for my son who's with me. Pray for his fiancée in Peru. She needs to have her surgery soon. She's in fairly good discomfort at this point. Now, for those of us that have had gallbladders out, it doesn't go away completely. It just gets better. And she was in a motorcycle accident. She's got something in her back that's bothering her, so they're looking at all kinds of stuff. But right now, they're looking to take her gallbladder out. This is a third world country. I don't know. I think, kidney stones, gallbladder, it's all part of diet. You've got to watch what you eat. I have to watch what I eat. I tell people I'm forced to eat healthy. Well, I guess in a third world country, you eat what's put in front of you or you starve, because they don't have time to make individual meals. And my son's somewhat depressed because he's not with her. Why she's suffering. He's here because he can only spend so much time. He's got to bring her here eventually to get married so she can get U.S. citizenship. Got to get her stabilized first. I think he needs to get her a passport first. And I think that you have to have some kind of a travel tourist visa to come to the United States. They open the borders to let anybody who wants to come in, and then they give them money and they pay for their medical and they do all this, and yet they need to have a passport and a tourist visa to come in legally. Come on, government. I know you're full of the devil, but still, you should be letting people come in any way they want to come in. If you want to overload the country, which is what your plan is, remember, we're going to own nothing and be happy. All right. Pray for the ministry, pray for me and what I do. And pray that I can get these numbers to start rebounding to give me some confidence that I should be here. I can go to the other channels, the other social media sites. I'd keep them in my description down below. You should be over there because eventually YouTube's probably going to ban me. If they kick me off or ban me once, you guys are listening, I know you are. You're little thieves, your little Satan sons that are filtering. Block one of my videos and I'll be off. So that's all you have to do, just block one of my videos. And I'll go to Rumble, where I have an account. You need to move all these people over there, but they're not going to know because you don't show them my videos. Evil people. Facebook, who's got one of the worst filters out there. I've already pretty much left Facebook, and they own, and it's Instagram, and this is little boy billionaire, and Meta as he calls it. They're creating their Twitter competition, so they can filter that too. Musk bought Twitter, and he's not filtering it. Not completely. But they're going to create a Twitter copy so they can filter it. Evil world. Just write it out. Hold on. It's a roller coaster. Pretend and have fun it's a roller coaster and just go up and down with the waves, with the ride. Don't you hear about that one roller coaster that they found a crack in one of the support beams? A roller coaster who's putting tension on everything that it does. They found a crack. It wasn't the people of the park that found it. It was one of the riders on the roller coaster. They shut it down. And they said that our president's son is going to go check it out because he heard there's a crack on that roller coaster, which they found at the White House, by the way. They found cocaine in the White House, not in the public area, in the private area. But since our president is in doing things proper and right, it was the best cocaine you could get. All right. Enough fun. Get out there and have a good day with God. And whatever you're going to do for him, do it until you get it right. God is patient. Till we meet in the clouds, God bless.